Hey everybody, it's Irene with BrainStormAcres, and today I'm in the greenhouse. Now this is actually my second try because I had multiple technology fails the first time, so we're going to try it again. But what I wanted to share was I wanted to give you guys a little update on the greenhouse and what's going on in there. So let's start at this end. First of all, we still have tomatoes. Some of the plants are looking a little raggedy, but you know what? We're getting a steady supply of eating tomatoes, pasta tomatoes, paste tomatoes I should say, and cherry tomatoes. Will they all ripen before it freezes? I have no way of guessing that. Today is October 1st. Our normal first day of freeze is somewhere between the 10th of October and the 22nd of October. If we're trying to be sort of normal, it'll be around the 15th. But to be honest, it's been cooler than usual lately. It hit 40 last night here. So, no way to guess when things will actually get bad enough to affect the tomatoes in here. But we're just going to keep plodding along, and we're just not going to worry about it. We're really enjoying what we're getting right now, and we're going to take advantage of whatever we can get. On this side of the greenhouse, we have the last of our little sunflowers. They're pretty much toast. I have one new little flower there, and a couple of small ones there, but they're pretty much done. And that's okay. They were really delightful while they were here. They were never meant to be in here. If you remember, I'd planned to put them outside, but then there were delays and things went wrong and we had weird weather and I just gave up and put them in here and totally enjoyed seeing them every day, multiple times a day. Over here, I have a couple of Wicking Totes. Twice in September, I planted seeds, September 1st and September 13th. And the seeds from September 1st suffered an unfortunate issue. One day when it was not forecast to get hot, it got hot. And some of the plants were killed. And some of the plants, the seeds were just shocked into dormancy, or the seeds were killed. We can't tell because we didn't try and dig them up. When they didn't come up after a couple of weeks, I said, okay, my assumption is most of these things are not going to come up. We did have a few successes out of there. We had 2 Atlantis plants, which is a mini broccoli, and I think 2 Pak Choy. Yeah, that sounds right. It's time now to pot those guys up. So what I did this morning was, this Wicking Tote has 4 Atlantis seedlings in it. This Wicking Tote has 2 Atlantis and 2 Tiara, which is a cabbage, seedlings in it. Now Tiara cabbage is one of our very favorites. I think Johnny's Select Seeds is the only people who sell it. It is a small cabbage, just a couple of pounds, really tender, really mild, totally delicious, holds well, makes a very dense head, and we adore it. We love to eat it fresh as coleslaw, and we also really love to use it when we make Vietnamese spring rolls and things like that instead of lettuce. It's just a little bit more flavorful than lettuce is, but yet it's not that really strong cabbage flavor. So I've got a couple of those guys in here. Here we still have some Godfather Peppers, and some of them, the peppers are going red on, and some are still green. Harvested a ton off of these. And that container also has basil. This container has Thai basil and some radishes at the bottom. This is another basil and tarragon. Kawarabi, which I'm going to harvest. I'm deciding whether it'll be today or tomorrow, but very soon. Lizard spinach, we have 2 lizard spinach left from the previous plantings. And everything else has been pulled out because it was bolting and it's starting to get funky. These are Sora radishes, and we harvested the first one this past week. And I can see I've got another one in there that's nice enough that it could easily be harvested. These are Pak Choy. There's 2 left. And I suspect they will go away this weekend. We're going to be cooking a chicken. And when the chicken is mostly gone, we like to make chicken soup. And at least one of those will go into the chicken soup. These are our bush beans. We're still getting a few beans every other day. Right now we're kind of in between. We have lots of blossoms and a bunch of beans that are half an inch long. I'm debating how much longer I'm going to leave these. I know they will be killed when it gets really cold. To be honest, we have plenty of green beans, so it's just a matter of if we want to have any fresh. That's making me hesitate at all. So we'll see. Probably by the next time we do a tour in here, they'll probably be gone, is my guess. But they've been fun, and it was a great experiment, and I think what we'll probably do next year is try some bush beans and try running them off the purlins in here to see what we can get. I think it could be kind of interesting to see, you know, what are we going to get out of the deal. We have known people who have grown whole beans in greenhouses before. In fact, they were growing them hydroponically even, and with great success. But they were kind of playing, is the best way to put it. They weren't really concerned about production. They did get quite a bit of production, but our goal, although we enjoy playing around, is actually production. We want to try it. We want to try it. We have not decided what variety we're going to try yet, but we do want to try it. And as you can see, I'm still getting green beans. This is an awkward arrangement here. I had planned to flip this the other direction and never got around to it. And the net result is it's hard to harvest the beans on the back. That's one of the reasons I would prefer to do pole beans. Another one being I've always wanted to have pole beans just hanging down like that. I just think it would be cool. And if you had them up on the purlins, just draping down, you should be able to see them pretty well, which I think would be cool. Down here, we have a couple of different buckets. These guys were transplanted this morning. These are the Pak Choy that I told you about. Remember, we had 2 batches of Pak Choy planted, one on September 1st and one on the 15th. The batch from September 1st was mostly a fail, but we did eventually get 2 Pak Choy plants out of that deal. And that little teeny tiny one are from that one. And the other 3 are from a planting on the 15th. I planted 4 seeds and I got 3. So I decided I would go ahead and plant them all up into one pot and just let them go. Our goal is to have a continuous collection of these little guys because we really like them in both stir fry and in soup. So we'll see how it works. This guy is Kawarabi. The ones that have purple bottoms to them like that, I don't know if you can see the purple color or not, those are purple Vienna, and the ones on the other side here are Quick Star. We had very mixed results with those last year. We think it's because we planted them too late in the season and it was just simply too cold for them and they never developed properly. So we're going to give them one more try in here. If it doesn't work, then we will use up the seeds outside at some point, but we're looking for things that we can plant in a very versatile manner. So if they're not going to do well in a bucket, but they'll do well in the ground, that's fine. But the plants that will do well either place are going to get our votes before anybody else. So we'll see what happens. We won't know until we know. Cutting off my head a little bit, that's okay. This is spinach. It is space spinach. We have grown space before. Space and Seaside are the main varieties that we grow. And I just sort of randomly decided on space for this first batch for the fall. And as you can see, they're ready to be picked. So tonight for our pizza night, I think I will probably make a spinach salad. Back here we have beets. We have 2 different kinds. We have Ace, Red Ace on this side, and on the other side it's the yellow touchstone or golden touchstone, whatever they call them. They're a golden beet. Back here we have some Thai basil and some husk cherries. These are Hercules Carrots. They were planted thinly and they've come up really well. I'm hoping to get a slightly larger diameter carrot in here. And they're just going to live in the greenhouse, so I think it should be fine. This is our pepper forest. We have Sandia chilies, we have Godfather, and we have Mamma Mia Rosso. Mamma Mia Rosso is a large pepper that produces red fruit when it's fully ripe. Some of our chilies have now ripened to the point where they are ready to be picked as red chilies. Actually I've got a bucket of them over here that I was cutting. Yeah, these are all chilies that have gone red. I'm going to finish doing that today. And then I'm going to look and see how many plants are left, because if the plants don't have any more fruit on them, at this point, they're not going to have time to ripen anything. So I'm just looking at it in terms of when are the plants done. The Mamma Mia Rosso, Henry really likes. They produce something that looks like this, except it's 4 times bigger. The remaining fruits on these plants are not particularly huge, but he really likes them for roasted peppers, so I'll be growing more of those for sure next year. We're going to have to decide about the other guys. He really likes the Godfather, and this chili turns out to be very mild, but as we know, the conditions under which chili is grown affects dramatically how hot the chili is, so it's impossible to know everything. This is a random husk cherry that was planted in here. It came up by itself, and we've been harvesting off that almost on a daily basis. All I do is shake it, and you hear that sound, and then you go pick up the little fruits off the ground. They are so delectable. We did not have a good harvest out of the garden this year for these, but when you open them, that's what they look like, and they're just so sweet. They're just wonderful. A delightful sort of a tropical flavor. Yum. This side of the greenhouse is our Cantaloupe Miscellanea. That's obviously a calendula in there, if you know flowers. That's turned out to be what that flower was. I remembered what the heck the silly thing was probably 2 days before it started to bloom. And it sort of made me laugh, because the calendulas in general did not do great when I was starting them this year. So it was funny that one of them that came up randomly in another pot turned out to be a calendula. This pot also has cantaloupe, it also has carrots, and it has a husk cherry in it. They're almost ripe because they don't fall off yet when you shake them. But we do have something very exciting down here. We have a cantaloupe. Now, we have had very poor germination in here on the cantaloupe. Pollination. Woo. Wrong Asian. Yes, we had very poor pollination on the cantaloupes here. So this is one of them that I did pollinate. I don't know if any of the other ones have taken, but I need to try again, because we're getting plenty of flowers, but we're not getting any fruit. Now, it may just be the days getting short and all that other sort of thing. So if we get just one, we'll be happier than nothing. So it's a start. These are the cucumber plants. And as you can see, there's a couple of cucumbers up top right now. The plants themselves are okay. They look a little raggedy. I haven't trimmed them this week. They're producing anywhere between 2 and 6 cucumbers a week, which is perfect for Henry. And I'm not currently getting enough of them off to do any more pickles, but it's enough to make salads for him, so cool. This is our seed bench. As you can see, there's some of the stuff is missing out of here. We have broccoli, 2 different kinds of broccoli, cabbage, 2 different kinds of cabbage, and that's also cabbage. So yeah, these are all cabbage here, as are these 2. This is a broccoli, and this is a broccoli. The mini broccoli has already been planted out. This is going to be an assortment of brassicas and lettuce. 2 of the Copenhagens were larger from the earlier planting, and they've already been potted up. And I still have a couple of raggedy little herb plants that I haven't decided what to do with. I hope you enjoyed this brief visit into the greenhouse. Gives you a little idea of what's going on right now. I'm going to be planting today or tomorrow some more brassicas, some more lettuce, because the last couple of years we've been able to have cabbage and Pak Choy and Kawarabi and lettuce in the greenhouse to harvest, and spinach, to harvest most of the winter. And our goal is to do that again. And the trick is, it needs to be planted now rather than later in the winter when the days are even shorter. Because once it hits a certain number of hours a day, things are going to really slow down, and if we want to keep them going, we're going to have to use electric lights, which is something we try not to do. For now, this is kind of where we are. I have one wicking tote there that's not in use. I have another one here that's not in use. And I have a bunch of totes that are going to be coming back from the garden because we have a little forest of totes up against the house. I have 2 cabbages that need to come out, and what else is in there? There's a big blue tote that's full of sweet potatoes. And then most of the other small totes are full of sweet potatoes, but we're going to have to harvest those relatively soon anyway, because with frost coming, sweet potatoes do not like frost. So once they've been frosted, you have to harvest them immediately. There's obviously lots going on. We'll be making decisions about what plants really worked and what really didn't pretty soon on a lot of the varieties. We already have a lot of thoughts about that. And we'll be sharing that because we always have a reason for things. And we think that sometimes our reason can be helpful for other people. Every environment is slightly different, so you have to adjust your varieties to your soil, to your growing conditions, in order to be really successful in your own garden, whether it's a tiny little patio garden, or whether it's some big monster with acreage, or something halfway in between with a little bit of hydroponics. So until next time, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell, because obviously we will be doing lots. And you have to come back and see how our Pak Choy does and everything else as we make a few more. This is one of those sort of cusp things where you're still harvesting things that are summertime and you haven't decided when you're going to pull them out and all that sort of thing. Pretty soon it'll be all very cut and dried. Then we'll be able to share what happens next. So until next time, bye.